Okay, today we're going to talk to you. I'm going to give you your assignment for the case discussion method, and I'm giving this to you today because while Dr. Dixon will be teaching today's class, I won't be here, and we only have 4 sections together for marketing, and I want to make sure that the first class that we meet, you will have a case due. So I'm going to give you instructions on how to do the case, and I will be a little more lenient on the first case, but I expect you to at least go through it and to practice this. Then we have a 2-page right up to on the first day of class. So I'm going to walk you through this case discussion method. A case is a story with a message. Okay, these are typically real life situations. They're based on actual things that have happened in the past. Okay, they're very ambiguous since the data is ambiguous, just like real life. What our textbooks teach us a lot of times is a cleaned up version, but in real life it's not as easy, and they mostly involve some sort of a dilemma. And here's an example of a famous dilemma, and people use this in psychology to do all sorts of experiments, not as a prisoner, but just that you've got options and you have to choose which way is the best. And so the prisoner's dilemma says that if there's 2 criminals and they separate them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now steps 1 through 3 is I'm going to go through each step. The first step is the introduction. This section should provide a brief introduction to the company, the settings of the case, and perhaps a hint of the primary issues to be addressed. Okay, the next section is the analysis, and the analysis should contain the facts and the issues of the case. This will probably be the longest, or this will be the longest part of your analysis. This should be 3/4 of what we're doing in the case, and so this is what I call the meat of the case. It should include the qualitative and quantitative information. So any facts that we can draw out, any kind of qualitative information that we can say that we can start to understand personalities, start to understand people and maybe their motives that we can draw out as well. In this section, we should be very careful to stay away from stated opinions. But we should focus on just simply a factual presentation of the way information is contained in the case, because this will build for the next section. Now, this is very important for students to learn this, because when you get in the real world, a lot of times the people that are building the background and presenting it to maybe the boss or the CEO are 2 different people. And so we have to be careful when we're doing the analysis that we're not making judgments, that we're actually drawing as much out so we can present it in an objective way for somebody else to make an opinion. And so we're being very careful not to jump to what we think it might be. We're just laying out everything we need almost until we can hand it off to somebody else to make a decision. We're trying to include everything we can and lay it out as objectively as we can. Now, the third step, this is probably one of the hardest pieces, because this is what you're going to say is your problem or issue statement. This is what you believe, and I'm looking for your opinion, to be the main premise that we need to address in this case. Okay? Whether it's a pricing issue, whether it's a distribution issue, whether it's a regulatory issue, you say, based on the information I've done, I believe this is a regulatory issue that needs to be addressed through lobbying. And you need to say the reason why I say that is A, B, and C, and this should all flow from your analysis section. Okay, steps 4 and 5, for a typical case, you would then present, now based on what I've done and what I've presented, here are our 3 alternatives, and then finally you would do a choice which alternative you choose. However, in this class, we do not do steps 4 and 5, and that's intentional, because I want you to really get in a habit of doing the analysis, of just presenting the case in an objective format, a non-judgmental format, but also adding your opinion on what you believe is the central part of the case that needs to be addressed. And we're not going to go to sections 4 and 5. Okay, so just some parting thoughts on a case. The cartoon says, what if our new business model fails? At least it can become a case study in management students. Okay, so I'll leave it at that, and I look forward to reading your first cases.